Woohoo! What's up, fight fans? What it do? What it do? Thank you for tuning in here on another edition here at Round One Sports TV. I am always your host, Edwin. And where the wall fights start?
Round one.
Well, we had a great night of boxing, so to speak, where the one night of boxing overlapped another, and I just can't fall asleep right now. So I decided to come back on and just talk boxing with uh crazed boxing fans like myself and talk about what took place last night and what happened in that ring. Um a lot of people had a lot to say. A lot of our pickings flopped. Uh and some of us, you know, tried to say that don't count Mr. Terrence Bud Crawford out. I don't want to toot my own horn here, but your boy got receipts. I told you guys. Can a guy make a game plan to beat one guy on one night? Terrence Bud Crawford. And I told you guys that I felt like in sports, there's no measuring stick for a man's will, how far he's willing to go to win. And I said that about Bud Crawford. He's a different kind of competitor. He has that fire and that drive. And I said, can a man study a man and with enough time, enough preparation, can he devise a game plan to beat him? And I told you, I said, yeah. Even on TBV, when that dude was on there, uh I think the Latin dude, I don't even know if he's Puerto Rican or Dominican. I think he's a Puerto Rican chapiao and he wants to be Dominican. I'm not sure what he want to be. But even him, I told him, why do you think that Canelo's just gonna walk through Terrence like that? Why are you so passionate on the fact that he's just gonna beat him, right? And I was trying to tell him that he hops off the channel real quick. If you go back and you watch the video, he didn't even answer me. And I was just like, yo, I think that Terrence Crawford could be the type of fighter that can pull some shit like that off. But it was hard to believe. It was hard to believe. It's kind of like a story. You ever been told a story? It was too good to be true. You know what I mean? You've been in a situation that like, nah, it's just a little too good to be true, right? Okay. And you had to acknowledge the task in hand. You had to acknowledge that Terrence Crawford, he had a lot to overcome in this fight. And then you couldn't avoid, but and you had to go against everything you knew in boxing. This was a tough call. This was a tough call. And for the guys that got it right, they were too crazy of fans to even think about it, that they didn't even second guess it. They Omaha, Terrence Crawford, we got him. Boop, that's it. Right? Those are just loyal fans. But to the rest of the boxing world that live in gyms, that have fought, have boxed, have tried to move up divisions, amateur boxing, different, because in amateur boxing, you can fight in a lot of different weight divisions. And you'll know what that's like. So some of us, for the most part, knew the task at hand. And this was a big one. Um, I I I lost my mind at the end of the fight, right? As you can see, if you go back and watch my live stream, I hit my power box. I disconnected everything. Like like my mind wasn't allowing me to just say, "Oh no," in the middle while the fight was still going on. I didn't care. The fight was in the 12th round and we had like 13 seconds to go and I didn't show no kind. I was just like standing because I've seen guys get knocked out with 10 seconds less to go in the round. Julio Cesar Chavez, remember? Yeah, Mildred Taylor. No, yo, Knocked him out, bro. If he would have stood up on his feet, he wins that fight, man. So I've been around boxing long enough to know until the final bell goes ding, I didn't let no emotion out. As soon as that bell went bing, bro, it was all coming out. I told the truth. Whether they rob him or not, Terrence Crawford just beat. I watched Terrence Crawford just beat in box circles. Well, like not the greatest circles, but he boxed him out. Terrence Crawford did better in sequences. He had the better exchanges. And he had Canelo at times look frustrated in the fight. He looked frustrated. But I had to admit, no excuses on Saul Canelo Alvarez's part, because that was one of the best versions I saw of Saul Canelo Alvarez. He was fast. He was cutting the ring. He was doing everything. It's just sometimes you got to admit that someone was better than you. It's not that anything went wrong with Saul Canelo Alvarez. Nah, nothing went wrong. And you can't say, "Oh, some people tweeted out, oh, I saw Canelo Alvarez get old in the ring. That he looked old." Right away they try to write him off so that the victory wasn't that bad. So they can say, "Oh, well, he beat him in his old age." Bullshit, because Terrence Crawford is older than Saul Canelo Alvarez, and not by just 1 year, by several years. Terrence Crawford is actually 38 years old. And Saul, what is he, 35? Right? Going on 36 or whatever, right? And so you can't say that. Although Saul Canelo Alvarez has more boxing miles on, as a boxer, he's definitely not the older of the fighters. So I think that uh hold on a second here, guys. Uh, yeah. So, my sister, she better thank God that I love her like that. Yo, so where was I? Uh, I don't think that Terrence Crawford, right, um, did. I don't think that Terrence Crawford did everything he needed to do in his career. When after the fight, I looked into his eyes, and when they asked him what was next, I would love to sit here and tell you that Terrence Crawford's next move should be to retire. Retire on top. How much further do you want to push the envelope? Bro, you got out of this fight right here. He beat Saul, but there was one thing I wanted to talk about on this show right here today, right? And I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. Yo, Terrence Crawford could cut weight and go down to 160 and get a 6 division rather than going up to 175. He can actually go down one more weight division um and try to secure a title there. He doesn't need all 4. He just needs one. He just needs one belt. And he's got to get in there and cut in line before this guy secures any more belts. Because what he's got, he's already got 2, right? He's got 2. So at 160, so he's got, you know what I mean? So, but that was a possibility that I said, that might entice him. And of course, the rematch. But in order for Terrence Crawford to shoot the rematch, and if he loses, then he loses his O. Then everything's back to order. Saul's back on top. Then you mean to tell me then Terrence Crawford wants to retire? Bigger payday, yes. You risk everything on this one. and you overcame. You came out on top. It's crazy. It's like Terrence Crawford went through a mile of shit and came out on the other side fucking clean as hell. Shining boy. Like I'm saying, like this man is shining right now. Arguably, a lot of people in the boxing world this morning woke up with a big headache. And they're like, damn, bro, like we're gonna have to move some shit around. Floyd Mayweather's status is about to officially come to a halt. Soon as Terrence Crawford announces his retirement, it's it's gonna be basically up to your opinion. You know what Terrence is gonna say, and you know what Floyd is gonna say in retaliation to boast their legacies. What's Terrence gonna say? I'm the only person with 3 divisions, all 4 belts. You've never been undisputed, Terrence Crawford, right? Not even once in your career. You've been unified, but never undisputed. Terrence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather is gonna say, "Well, I fought the most world champions," and here we go back and forth. But to be honest with you, 3-time undisputed is a royal flush right now in the sport of boxing. And that's what Terrence is working with. He officially passed Floyd Mayweather in my eyes, but his record is not cemented yet. He has to retire. He has to retire. Then they tally up your body of work. He has to stay retired, I think, now for the 3 years that they dropped it down in the Hall of Fame. Used to be like the 5 years, but I think they just changed it. So he has to stay retired for that long. Once he seals that record, that point in his life, that's official. That's official, Jack. It's over. It's over. We could all assume it while he's still active. Technically, sometimes an athlete can get so far ahead of their peers that rightfully so, we can all feel comfortable with saying he's the leading GOAT right now. He's the GOAT. Like Tom Brady, he had got so far ahead of Joe Montana that it was over with. I mean, it was just not even when Brady got 5 trophies and Joe had 4, there were a lot of people still saying Joe was better. Brady had to fucking shut everything down in a way where he got 7 rings and 10 Super Bowl appearances and some crazy accolades that they were just like, okay, you know, they could legitimately build a separate building next to the Football Hall of Fame and call it the Brady Wing and charge an additional fee just for all his accolades. An entire building just dedicated to Brady. That building will sell out probably every day. I'm trying to tell you, like that man did that much. That's when you can just be like, okay, you're the GOAT, dude. That's too far, right? But in boxing, we're like famous painters. You know how like a painter, what makes a painting priceless? That the artist dies. He needs to die broke for that painting to be sold for millions or billions of dollars. That's what has to happen. And you know why that has to happen? You ever ask yourself why the artists usually die broke and people benefit off their art, their music, and what makes them so valuable is the fact that they're dead. And the reason why they're dead, that you can definitely say he will never paint another painting again. This was his last painting forever. It's a beautiful painting. As a matter, we're never going to get it again. Had he been alive, he could continue making paintings. It doesn't make his paintings priceless. The artist has to die. It's messed up, right? But some artists they do hit big sometimes with but the ones that went big and they're alive, imagine if they die. That's always been a thing. So it's like in boxing, you know, a lot of we've been down this road so many times in boxing where that a guy retires, right? Like, well, a guy who should have retired, like Roy Jones Jr. You should have retired at a certain point in your career. Had you retired, Mike Tyson had retired at a certain point in their career, they can be in some really big arguments. The fact that they stuck around for so long and took so many losses at the tail end of their career. A lot of these guys got knocked cold out. Roy Jones Jr. got knocked cold out numerous of times. He became chinny. And it was just like fight after fight, he was just getting knocked out. Then the conversation was like, wow, you got knocked out 6, 7 times in a row, like here. Not in a row, but for Roy Jones. And he can't be entered as the GOAT being knocked out like that over and over and over. They're gonna be like, you call that dude the GOAT? But there was a point in time when Roy Jones Jr. was Roy Jones Jr. and he was worthy of that kind of conversation. It's up to the athlete not to tarnish their legacy, what they built. They got to know when to stop. They're like painters. How good is your work? When it's all said and done and it's over with, that's when you become valuable. Because they know that every boxer can't retire well. Manny Pacquiao. All 8 losses like that? Nah, bro, you can't. There's no way you could be entered in the conversation anymore. But you have only to blame but yourself. You got too many draws, too many losses, and you've been knocked out too many times to be in the room with these guys. You're going to get to the room with some of these guys, some of the legends, because of what Manny Pacquiao did throughout his career. Yes, he'll be in certain conversations, Manny Pacquiao, because rightfully so. The 8 division thing, whether, it's 6 divisions, we know that, but he actually fought in 8. Whether he got minor titles and not, that's pretty remarkable in itself. He didn't get 8 official titles, we know that, but 8 divisions nonetheless. And he competed in 8 divisions, so that's pretty good. And the wars that he had, the type of fighters, the names on his record, that's pretty good. That's what makes him a legend. The belts that he's had, the divisions, that's what makes him a legend. So Manny Pacquiao is going down in the room with the legends. But at a certain point, some legends are going to leave him in a room. And there's other legends that are going to be considered in a different discussions, like such as Naoya Inoue and Terrence Crawford now. When these 2 guys retire, it's going to be, and the Usyks of the world. Look at Usyk. Look what Usyk's doing. When Usyk retires as a heavyweight champion, bro, there's going to be a lot of, so these guys are coming. And they're going to come into these rooms and they're going to be putting up what they did against the old age. Like the conversation's always, back in the day, we fought 15 rounds. If your arm fell off during we sewed it back on. All right? That's how we were fighting. Listen, I had a fight on my way to the fight. All right? That's how we used to fight. All right? I fought a crocodile on the way to my boxing match. I lost a finger and I still won the match. All right? You know how those guys talk, right? So, there's going to come a time where this era is going to stand up and they're going to put their accolades to shut them up. That's what's going to happen. And say, yeah, you know what? One of these guys are older. They're going to be older. It's going to be like an older Terrence Crawford, an older Naoya Inoue, it's going to be one of them, older Teofimo Lopez. It's going to be one of them. They're going to be like in their deep 40s, early 50s, gray hairs. They're going to be in an interview. I'm telling you, this is going to happen. They're going to say, the older guys, blah, blah, blah. And these guys are going to go, you know what? I'm tired of that old 15-round shit. You know what? You guys didn't do half the shit we did. How many of you guys were undisputed? How many of you guys were unified? How many weight divisions you guys have? Because let's just remember what just took place last night. Terrence actually walked in the room with 5 divisions, Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather has 5 division, but Terrence Crawford has 5 division, 3-time undisputed. When you what's what's the meaning of undisputed? What does that mean? When you talk about a fighter that's undisputed, what does that mean? What does it mean to you to be undisputed? What that means to be undisputed is that um you were the best in your era in that weight division. There was no doubt about it. There was no other champion better than you. What good would it be to get all those belts and be undisputed if it meant nothing? If anybody could just walk up behind you and say, "Nope, I'm better than you because I have a mouth." Undisputed means undoubtedly you were the best in your era in that weight division. That's what that means. So, and especially if you defend all four belts, right? If Terrence Crawford doesn't defend these four belts at all, he would have been undisputed in three separate weight divisions and never had defended none of his belts. The only belt he defended was that WBO at 147, which he has a couple title defenses on that. I think he had like six, if I wasn't mistaken, something like that, 6, 7, or some shit like that. And so he defended that belt, but Terrence Crawford, I don't remember him defending all four belts ever in any of the weight divisions he got the belts in. So he's not the type of fighter that's going to give another fighter an opportunity at four belts. Terrence Crawford's like, nah, go get him like I got him, all four at a time, or last night, one shot deal. So I'm not sure if he's going to be willing to do that, but that 160 dropping down option, and that really like, I was like, that sounds good right there, right? So, yeah, that sounded intriguing. But look, uh, I'm not sure what Terrence Crawford's gonna do, man. I'm not Terrence Crawford at all. I'm not. But what I can say is that I'm anticipating his next move. He has a lot of options right now. A lot of options right now. Um, well, here goes Turkey Al-Rashid saying Hamza Sharit's gonna fight Canelo Alvarez. What happened? He ain't fighting no Canelo. Canelo ain't got no belts. What's he fighting Canelo for? He ain't got no belts. So everything in boxing is not sketched in stone. As you guys saw, Naoya Inoue just fought MJ. What a fight. What a technical fight. What a masterclass performance from Naoya Inoue, the monster Inoue. Yo, it was like Naoya Inoue is ducking me. Uzbekian power.
A few moments later.
Damn, he got his ass whooped. Yo, yo, what happened to the Uzbekian power? What happened to the ducking? What happened to that? He was going to be such a threat. He didn't win a single round. He didn't win one round against Naoya Inoue. He didn't put together 20 seconds together in one round just to win at least 20 seconds of the round. He had a little bit of success. He hit Naoya Inoue with some interesting punches, but that's when Naoya Inoue was standing still. It looked like he gave him that just to get him a little confidence to open up in exchange. Like Naoya Inoue, uh, he saw the task at hand. He saw that he believed, and I started believing that MJ's only chance was in the inside with those sharp check hooks left and right. He was really good with it, right? And what I saw early this morning at 6:30, I'm running on like no sleep right here, right? But I gotta talk about this. And I saw it, right? And I'm watching the fight play out. And I'm just noticing the intelligence of a great fighter. That's what I noticed. I noticed when Naoya Inoue was fighting, he knew how to keep a game plan. together. Sometimes a great fighter, you don't really need to develop a game plan. You just got to unleash him, and his training is going to show up. But this fight right here in particular was about preparation, game planning, staying disciplined. Remember what you came there to do and follow through to the end. No matter if you feel like you're winning the fight, you do not sway in the game plan and show the team that you can follow through on everything that we worked on. That is exactly what I just saw with Naoya the Monster Inoue. He showed different aspects of being a fighter, a warrior. He did. He really did. He showed me that um, mental fortitude, game planning, they're all real things. Both of these fights did that for me. Terrence Crawford came up with a game plan. I don't want to say that I told you so, but I told you so. I told you guys. And I gave you guys example with Amanda Nunes and Chris Cyborg, and I broke it down with the right amount of time and the right preparation. Terrence Crawford didn't have to beat everybody at 168. He wasn't fighting everybody at 168. He was only fighting one guy. And is there enough film? Is there enough to study? Hell yeah, on these guys and those type of guys. And Terrence Crawford studied, did his homework, and him and his team, Bomac and them, came up with a game plan. You know, Bomac might have been having a tough year, and I think his year was riding on his big dog, his big horse that was Terrence Bud Crawford. And Terrence Crawford didn't let him down. Didn't let him down. You know, maybe everybody else might have fell short for Bomac's team and the brand a little, and they might have puttered out a little. But as long as you won that fight, it was that fight right there. He had two fighters on that fight, Lester Martinez and Bud. But Lester Martinez fought to a draw with him, Billy. We saw that fight. It was a good fight. I thought that fight was a great fight. It was fought on a really, really high pace. I remember. I remember looking at the fight, and all I kept saying was, some one of these guys is gonna fucking gas out. One of them is gonna have to gas out. This is too high of a pace. That's all I kept thinking in my head. And they were, and Lester showed, his cardio started to fade a little bit more, and Billy seemed to have gotten a second win in the fight. And we saw all the fights in the night. The Vargas brother suffered a loss to um, Callum Walsh, and I look, great fight. I think the Vargas brother shouldn't hang his head down on this. He just started taking boxing a lot more serious now, and I have to admit, I saw a better version of the Vargas brother. So even in a loss, it shows he's getting better. Can he not take the loss so hard and continue his career from him? He still is young enough. He still has enough skills. He still can be put in position for a world champion. You never know. Stay ready, son, because if somebody gets hurt at the top and then they need a late minute replacement, your name is big enough that you can also come in and then capitalize on your moment. I can't tell you how many men and women on 10 days' notice came out and shocked the world. Okay? Andy the Destroyer Ruiz. How about that? Right? Became heavyweight champion on short notice. All right. So listen, you just got to stay the course for the Vargas. But can you come up with a game plan? And Terrence Crawford did exactly that. He did exactly that, man. And Naoya and the Monster and the Inoue, man. The way he shut down MJ, man. Make no mistake, that's exactly what happened. He shut him down. Yo, MJ couldn't do nothing, bro. Nothing. And like I said, all his success, I felt like Naoya Inoue basically gave it to him. There was a few shots he got in there, maybe he on his own, I would say, but I did notice that when he did fire off, it's because Naoya Inoue went into the high guard and stood still. stood still. But when Naoya Inoue was on his toes and he was moving, evading, he was in and out, pa 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 pa. He was tagging up MJ, and at no point in the fight did I feel that MJ rightfully so uh won any rounds in that fight. It was a complete masterclass, one sided event, and Naoya Inoue is on to the next. Uh, apparently, this David Allen Picasso fight is a real thing. So I think he's going to be fighting him in December. Although we all know, once upon a time, he passed on the fight. He was offered a Naoya Inoue fight in Las Vegas, and Roman Cardenas filled in as the second Mexican replacement because he was the first. So now they're saying that he really wants this fight. Just just be just be ready for a late minute replacement. It seems to happen a lot in a Naoya Inoue fight now. These guys don't really want to sign up to fight him. Juncho Nakatani was walking out of the stadium and Naoya Inoue grabbed the mic. It was, yo, where you going? Me and you, right after this. You know what I'm saying? Like, see, because I guess Ohashi Promotion and Top Rank already made a deal with the Saudi Prince. It's basically like they're loaning out Naoya Inoue's boxing services to go out to like other places, Riyadh, shit like that. So they've already sold that fight to the Turk, and that's the name they gave him, David Allen Picasso. So Turk, like Naoya Inoue said in the ring, he said, "I'm sorry, unfortunately, I got some business over here in December for Riyadh." So he's got to get that out of the way to get that check in the bank. At the same time, we're prize fighters at the end of the day. And I would never be upset at a man like that that's going out and getting the bag in this fight or maybe that fight and such and such. But I can't even say like he's out getting the bag with like the number one contender because Alan David Picasso is the number one contender for the WBC right now. So you can't even like, Naoya, who you fighting? The number one guy. Like, he's using the number one guy as like a springboard. This dude is tough, man. He's the real deal. Naoya Inoue is the real deal. Now, I actually love what Terrence Crawford did for a lot of reasons because there's a part of me that says, thank you, Terrence Crawford. Thank you. Thank you for multiple reasons. One, for separating yourself finally from everybody else because you deserve it. You deserve it. He was the first man in boxing history to unify all four belts in two separate weight divisions and show men and women that this type of shit can be possible if we work together. Terrence Bud Crawford, he did exactly that. Now, no sooner that he did it, only 6 months later, this Japanese guy entered the room and he did it. I think a year later after that, or so many months later after that, Usyk does it. So now there's three men in the room that has done the same feat accolade that you have. So you're not really unique at that point. By doing this right here, unique. No man has done this. So he separated himself from everybody else. So congratulations to Mr. Bud Crawford. You are the greatest fighter right now. Bud Crawford needs to be put pound for pound on everybody's list. Slide Usyk and Naoya Inoue right out the way. They're gonna have to fight for second place. Naoya Inoue and Usyk. Let them fight together because hands down, Bud Crawford is the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. Unfortunately for Naoya Inoue, my man, you did a lot of great shit, brother, and you know I support you. Usyk, you too, bro. You did a lot of great shit too, man. But jumping up three weight divisions. Come on, guys. He was never a 154 pounder. He was a 147 pounder that went up three freaking weight divisions. Okay. He wasn't a unified champion at 154 like Jamel Charlo was, an undisputed champion at 154 like Jamel Charlo was, that was acclimated to the division. He had one fight at 154. One fight. That man jumped up three weight divisions and just whooped Canelo Alvarez's ass. That's what happened. That there's no fighter that did that. There's no fighter that can do that. There's no. Oh, my bad. Terrence can. Besides Terrence, right? He has to be number one. Terrence has to be number one. And I'm never gonna be biased on it. Rightfully so. I don't think I am being biased. I still feel the same way about Naoya Inoue, but the reason why I said all of that to say this, I love that Terrence Crawford did this. Why? Because it might give Naoya Inoue something to reach and go for. He's the only man that can catch Terrence Crawford right now. Nobody else is in the position. They haven't even got started. And Usyk can't do it. He can't go up no more. There's nothing past the heavyweight division. So he's not. Usyk's not going underneath cruiserweight to go get belts. That's not happening at this age, bro. Don't you believe that? Right? So Usyk can't catch Terrence Crawford. I don't see there's a way that he catches him. I don't see it, right? So the only person that can catch him is the Japanese dude, Naoya the Monster Inoue. He is the only person that can catch him. You know? What up, guys? There you guys are. I got your messages up. What up, Frontline? What up, guys? My screen was blink on this side. I was trying to get it while I was talking, doing all this talking, and then I finally clicked over here and it came up. What's up, guys? Let me read out some of your. I knew he couldn't finish his job. He's better not. He better not move up. Yo, Frontline, stop hating on Naoya Inoue right now. All right, stop hating on him. Look, Naoya Inoue was in hot water with his team, and there's a lot at stake. There's a lot of pride riding sometimes, and sometimes, people want to make what you're doing bigger. You start to become bigger than the sport, and all of a sudden, all these views and stuff, and the all of a sudden, Japan's calling you into offices like, Naoya, you got to stop taking these tough fights because we can't afford for you to lose. We need the morale of the Japanese people to be high, and you're like one, whether you like it or not, you represent this, right? So all of a sudden, people want to start taking over your career. But remarkably, Naoya Inoue hasn't gone that route. He hasn't played it the safe route, right? Okay. So in doing so, of not playing it safe, he ended up getting dropped not once but twice. Once he got dropped twice, in Las Vegas, when he got back, they probably pulled him by the ear, some higher ups, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And Naoya Inoue was like, "Look, if I want to fight like this, well, then you're gonna need to show us that." His team, his father, maybe his boxing promoter, Ohashi, whoever got a lot of influence over Naoya and got a lot of to say about his career. And I think that Naoya Inoue just showed them. You could see it after with the mic. He was like, "Look, I showed you guys. If I want to stay the course of the game plan, this is why I won." He wants to show that he can do his part. All these other guys is waking up with Naoya Inoue, running with him, sparring with him. Everybody's putting all their blood, sweat, and tears into this guy. They're asking you to perform a certain way because they feel that this is, there's a lot at stake here. Okay. So he had to fight a more conservative, cautious fight. He did. But at the same time, fighting a cautious, conservative fight, he put on a masterclass. He shut MJ down. He made MJ look like an average fighter. MJ at times looked lost in there against him. He couldn't adjust to his speed. He didn't know how to adjust to the power. Naoya was breaking him down. I saw that in between rounds, he was hurt bad. He was like wincing in between rounds and stuff. MJ, yo, Naoya anyway said, okay, you guys don't want me to knock him out. You just want me to whoop his ass for 12 rounds. That's what you just saw. Nalita Machikote, will Terrence Crawford be able to defend at his weight like Canelo has? Nalita Machikote, thank you for being a member. Um, I don't believe Terrence Crawford's going to defend none of those belts. History has shown me that Terrence Crawford never defended any of the 4 belts at 147. He didn't defend none of the belts at 140. He didn't defend none of the belts at right now, I believe, at 168. But that means as a whole, because at 147, he did defend the WBO title multiple times, where he turned the WBO title into a super WBO title. And the way you do that, you have to have 5 title defenses on that WBO title. The way he got those title defenses is because he was sitting in the division waiting for Errol. Errol had flipped his car. He was going through a lot of stuff. And while he was sitting in the new weight division at 147, Terrence Crawford stood active with that belt, the Puerto Rico belt, the WBO title, and he defended that belt. His Terrence Crawford's WBO title was pretty prestigious if you go back and look at it, because he had title defenses on that belt. But as for 4 belts, he's never defended all 4 belts, and none of the 3 weight divisions he's acquired all 4 belts. So I don't see him defending the belts at 168. I don't think that that was the plan. I think the plan was just to beat one man on one night. I think that that was what the plan, Nelita Machikote. I think that that was the plan. And I don't think they really thought of it from here. I think they thought the possibility was there they could win, but they might have thought if they went to 12 rounds, they might have got cheated. The fact they didn't get cheated, and you could see Suleiman had made another honorary belt for the night for Saul. He had a ring made for Saul in solid gold, but Saul didn't win, and the ring had to go to Terrence Crawford, and Suleiman came up and put the ring on him too. That was a ring that was made to commemorate the night, the event. The 70,000 in attendance in Raider Football Stadium, you know? And so it was a big moment in boxing, in history. And like I said, now Saul's name is going down in history as the man who lost to Terrence Crawford. And how did Terrence Crawford become a 3 division, all 4 belts in the 4 belt era? How did he do that? He beat who? Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now your name is attached to this fight in history in boxing. When we go back and look at it, that's what it's going to show. And I think that Terrence Crawford's best option for me is to go down to 160. Go down a division, not up. If you could do 168, brother, then you could do 160. Easy. You even be much better in shape. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me start keeping reading you. John, what's up? How you doing? Salute, bud. Just had but just had your boy's number. Correct. Correct. Sometimes we got to just admit the other guy was just better on that night. He had me. He had my number. He was better. Congratulations to you. Low nose boxing round 1. The crash out king. Yo, listen. Let me tell you something, Low nose boxing, right? You called it wrong. You got to eat some crow. Crow, 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 crow. I try to tell all of y'all that you guys don't understand a man's will. There's no measuring stick for a man's heart, how far he's willing to go. I try to teach y'all that. There's no measuring stick for that. But there was no data that we had on Terrence Crawford at 168. And what I tell you guys was my best honest assessment. Don't put no money on this fight. Because honestly, I couldn't sit here and tell you Yeah, Terrence was gonna definitely do this. I had no information on Terrence at 168. The entire world was merely guessing and hope. We were writing off hope and guesses. That's all you had to write on. If you think you were that much of a pro that you can call and you what the fuck are you? You should be in Vegas. You should be out placing bets right now. You should be a multimillionaire before the day's up. There is no one in the world that can tell me that they can say that definitively that's how the fight should have played out. With the first man in history doing this. And seeing what we saw with Jamel Charlo, did that look like Jamel Charlo last night, Terrence Crawford? See how much better preparation, the right game plan. You see, Terrence understood that, and I got videos, I got receipts, I got a lot of videos showing me saying, "Yo, guys, I think Terrence is a different type of athlete." And people were like, "Ah, oh, Edwin, you can't say the wrestling, the basketball, all this other stuff, blah blah blah." And I'm saying to them, "Oh, yes, I can. Yes, I can." You know, about his kind of drive and perseverance and just that the fact that you tell Terrence Crawford he can't do something, it keeps him up at night. He just wants to prove you wrong. He talked about who started all of it in crazy story, right? It was Bill Haney, ironically enough. And Terrence, this came out of Terrence Crawford's mouth. If you stuck around after the fight, Terrence Crawford came out with all the belts and he went up on stage and after everything was clearing out and he sat up there and he talked with the guys that were calling the fight, you know. And he was up there and he said, "Yo, Terrence, you know, what made all this come about?" And you know, after you beat Errol, you know, you were sitting there and he says, "Look, I couldn't get the Errol Spence Jr. rematch. I didn't know what I was gonna do." And all of a sudden, Bill Haney said, "You should go up there and fight Saul Canelo Alvarez. You could beat him." And Terrence said, "Nah, he's too big. He's too big. I can't beat him." And he was like, "Well, he's right there." And he sized him up. And he looked at him and he was like, "Nah, I think I could beat him." So shout out to Bill Haney for putting the idea in Mr. Terrence Crawford's head that he should take his talent, his show on the road, and go up to 168 and fight the one and only Saul Canelo Alvarez, which was a crazy feat, you know. And I couldn't say that I could sit here, but I did recognize who Terrence Crawford was as a competitor. I knew that much. Whether or not he could truly pull it off, I couldn't definitively say that, you know, but I knew that you were messing with that kind of mind. I knew you were messing with that kind of athlete. I've seen that before. I've seen that kind of drive before in some sports, some Jordan. I seen that crazy look in their eyes, but they had real skill. I seen that Brady. I seen that Gretzky. I seen that those kind of men. They were. I've seen that, and Terrence fit the bill. And I was trying to tell the world, you know, because boxing is different. Boxing's not a team sport. You know, you can take a little bit off on the court, just pass the ball down, pass it to him, take a breather. You know, there's you got four other teammates. They were rotating guys in and out. Boxing, you're by yourself. It's just you. You know, and everything you prepared for it, you got one night for everything to go right or everything go wrong. See, boxing, you don't beat me the best out of three, the best out of seven. You know, boxing's not the best out of seven World Stanley Cup or best out of seven World Series. You get one night. It's kind of like football. You fuck up one time, it's done. They walking off with the trophies, and he's walking off with the belts. That's what just happened with Saul Canelo Alvarez. Shout out to Canelo Alvarez for taking a big risk, taking this fight, and trying to shut up the naysayers and saying that uh, slick American black style would beat him all the time at the highest level. And he lost. He lost. He left a lot of people with, maybe that's may be true, you know. And Mr. Miyagi with the 5 piece. Salute, brother. Thank you. I would normally put you up on the thing here, but for some reason, I don't know. Maybe if I can press this. Let me see if I could get you guys' these chats up. It's not, none of your chats are coming up. None of it. It's like if we weren't even connected. I don't know. But Mr. Miyagi says, salute Edwin. Inoue said he was training for speed and technique. Yeah, to be technical and stuff. Yup. And actually, it made him so gun shy. If MJ opened up and more bit, he would have gotten taken out. Of course, I saw that in the fight as well. I was saying that. MJ had a little bit of success, but I really believe it was due in part to the success that Naoya Inoue was giving him. He was trying to get him to bait him to open up, but MJ wasn't walking through that. He wasn't falling for the trap. He felt those punches, and he was content at some point to really. I think Naoya Inoue actually beat his game plan out of him. He forgot to do what he was there to do. MJ. He just he was at some point in the fight he was lost. I think like in the 6th round, I remember he he didn't have no answer for him. He did all his tricks. He tried everything they worked on, I felt. And at that point, MJ was lost. It was like rinse, repeat. He was trying to do it. He was trying to push. He just couldn't do it. Naoya Inoue shut him down, man. Yo, his corner was telling him, where's the Uzbek is in power? Get in. He get that. He just couldn't get close to him. It was just a great performance. You had to know what you were really like looking at. And it was a good win. And I also did give MJ his credit. I said that he was dangerous. I said he was a worthy opponent. And I said all of that because too, you got to keep in mind that MJ was a former undisputed world champion, a unified, not undisputed. I'm sorry, blah, blah, undisputed world champ. I'm a unified world champion, right? So he was unified at one time. So that counts as Naoya Inoue going up against a former world champion, a unified one. And he beat him. Okay. So that shows that MJ was a quality of an opponent. So when he beats him, don't say he fought a cab driver. Don't say he fought a nobody. No. Arguably, he just doubled back and fought the guy that everybody was trying to say he was ducking or avoiding to fight. He went in there and took care of business. But historically, the Saul Canelo Alvarez fight and Terrence Crawford fight was so big, it kind of overlapped the Naoya Inoue fight. I felt leading into the fight, the Naoya Inoue fight didn't get a lot of good press conference out here because of the Terrence Crawford and Saul fight. It might have got a lot of big press out there on that side of the world where the fight was being held. I have no idea because I'm not on that side of the world, but I think that Top Rank, they go all out for Naoya Inoue, but I don't think we saw that same kind of promotion out here for him. So his plans are to fight in December. That'll be 4 times this year for Naoya Inoue. He's one of the most active champions, if not the most active champion we have today. If you want to argue active champions, just remember that he is an undisputed champion that's putting all four belts on the line repeatedly. This is the fifth time Naoya Inoue put all four, well, all five belts on the line because the Ringside Magazine seems to be in attendance every time, right? So I see five belts. And Naoya Inoue is the Ringside Magazine champion for the 122-pound weight division. So he's actually putting all five belts on the line every time, and he has done that a record-breaking 5 times in a row since he became the undisputed champion at 122 pounds in just 6 months. You heard that correctly. The microphone is not broken. It took him 6 months to get all four belts. And since the time he got all four belts, he's defended them 5 times. Terrence Crawford, he's a different type of fighter. Terrence Crawford is a type of fighter that feels like he needs to make the boxing world pay for the lack of payment, attention, recognition, and clout they did not give him throughout his career. It seemed like every time Terrence Crawford was moving up in his career and accomplishing shit, they gave the awards to somebody else. Yes, they did. I remember when Terrence Crawford finally got all four belts. I think it was at 140. Yeah, it was at 140. That was the first one, right? He got all four belts that year. They gave Fight of the Year to Loma that year. And Loma never got all four belts. They always looked over Terrence Crawford in a lot of like moments in boxing. Then, he got passed up on a couple fights and the promotional company fight with Top Rank, the Corona epidemic. He's always had something. Then when finally, and I mean finally, he breaks the kind of record that you would think would sustain years. First man to unify all the belts in two separate weight divisions, whether it was a 3 era or a 4 belt era. In the 4 belt era, it was even more prestigious, right? Okay. So Terrence Crawford does it, and he didn't even get to party for 6 months before somebody else had already done that. Then another guy did it. It's like Terrence Crawford never gets a chance to breathe or enjoy his accomplishments before they're already tearing him down. This is the kind of accomplishment I think that's going to stand the test of time. If Naoya Inoue decides tomorrow, you know what? I'm not chasing him. It's over. It's going to take a long time for somebody to do that shit. Might take another 100 years. Terrence Crawford, it depends how long his name is going to be alone in that record book. You know? Pushover Clarissa Shields argument, right? Clarissa Shields always comes out. No, I'm the best fighter in the world. I got 3. You're the best female fighter. Stop it. Why are you always trying to come over to our side and be better than us? Stay on your side of the fence. Chill. You know? But Terrence definitely did something no man in boxing history has done. So congratulations to that man. Congratulations to the judging. They got it right. Turkey paid for fair judging. He paid for fair judging. And for once, Saul Canelo Alvarez probably didn't have a judge in his pocket. And a lot of people feel that way about him. I don't have any proof about that or saying that he ever did, but still, nevertheless, I think that it was fair judging. One of the scorecards was very interesting, though. I remember one of the scorecards being very interesting. What's up, Mr. Miyagi? Is that Naoya fights at one. Wait, whoa, you guys are like really up there, huh? Typing. Okay, did Canelo ever try to get the outside foot position at all in the fight? I was scratching my head. He didn't it once and caught Crawford, but then he never tried it again. Uh, I think Crawford was moving too much. He noticed when he got that front foot in him in on the inside, and then Canelo got the shot off. So now it was up to Crawford to not to let Canelo get that front foot on the outside again. So actually, what he did was, uh, see, because Crawford fought the fight lefty, he never switched to orthodox. He was fighting the entire fight lefty, and he had Saul all kinds of frustrated because even though he was fighting him lefty, there was everything was backwards for Saul. Saul had to do shit backwards, so to speak. And putting your foot on the outside again with the lefty is setting you up straight for the right, with for Terrence's right. So probably that's why he didn't step back over and do that. Because if you notice and you go back and watch the fight, Terrence Crawford fought the fight left-handed. Yo, come on. Bud Crawford lost last night and we all saw that shit. What? Yo, Bud didn't lose that fight, bro. I'm sorry. I want to say what Crawford can accomplish if he has choices. Yeah, anyway, his career might have been even doper than this. Imagine that. Even better than this. That would be crazy, right? Keep coping, Ricardo. Face does. Yo, Bud Crawford had Turkey's hand. That's why he won. Bro, don't be a moron, right? Saul Canelo Alvarez is Turkey's fighter. Remember, Turkey bought him out of the PBC and bought him out of that Jake Paul contract because once upon a time, Canelo Alvarez signed up to fight Jake Paul, and that was a real thing. Turkey paid his bill, and then Saul said he wants to end his career with who? Turkey Al Sheikh. That means whose guy is Turkey? Saul. When I try to tell you guys this, but you guys don't want to listen. This is the first time in boxing history I've ever seen one man control all the fighters. Turkey owned Saul and Terrence. Both. Terrence ain't signed to nobody. He fought for Turkey. And Saul Canelo Alvarez is signed to Turkey. You understand? So where he the you got to understand. That's why I said there will be no cheating in this fight. This fight is one of the most purest boxing matches I've ever witnessed because in order for Turkey to cheat, he would have to cheat himself. He would literally have to cheat himself. He owns both fighters. He's paying the salary for both fighters. Not Oscar De La Hoya, not Top Rank, not Ed Hearn, none of that shit. It's just Turkey. Why would he cheat himself? If Terrence would have won, Turkey wins. If Saul wins, Turkey wins. If Saul wins, Turkey got him with Hamza Shari. If Terrence wins, now we got to figure it out. But he still wins because now he got a rematch, maybe. See? Either way, Turkey wins. You didn't have to cheat. All you had to do, Turkey had to do, is sit back and let him fight. That's the best thing you could do. Don't try to dress something up. Don't try to help another fighter. You don't have to. Because whatever the outcome is, you win. Let's play a game. Turkey wins. How do you play this game? Every move he makes, he wins. How the hell is he cheating? What does he want to help out the bookies? Turkey? So Turkey a multi-trillionaire, not billionaire, trillionaire. What is he who wants more money? Whatever you spent in gambling bets, he probably made that up in his money being in like gold or whatever, like in interest. He woke up the next day on the money he made on his money on interest, paid all the money you think you could probably pay him to take a dive. So consider one. You don't have enough money to fuck with Turkey. There's not a lot of people that have enough money that can mess with him. He doesn't want money. He's not a man that could be bought. He's got more money than you. He's a different entity. That's why I was sitting back looking at this fight going, this is probably the most straight up boxing match I have ever witnessed in my entire life. I have no fear that there's a bought referee, a bought judge, nothing. Nothing. One guy owns everything. He owns all the judges, the referees, the two fighters, the night, everything. One guy. I was like, what's he going to bet against himself? What, he's going to shoot himself in the foot? No, just think about it. Shit. Go ahead, guys. Go have a fight. Do whatever outcome happens, I win. Just let him fight. Just let him fight. That's all you got to do. He had plans for both of them. Bro, this all that conspiracy theory. Terrence was Turkey's guy. He was holding hands. He hold hands with Saul too. He hold hands with Saul first. Then he hold hands with Terrence. So I don't know what your point is there. That's just the way they do shit. Bud Crawford did not win more rounds than Saul. That's your opinion. That's your opinion. It's not what the judges saw. The judges do not have to help Terrence Crawford win shit. You got to understand that. That the best person to win here was to keep Canelo Alvarez champion. To keep everything the status quo. Terrence Crawford doesn't have a history of defending those belts. But guess who does? Saul. Guess who's more marketable for the Mexicans and people coming out? Saul. So if you wanted to set the fight up, if you were going to rig the fight, you would have put it in the one that was going to put more money in your pocket the next fight. And he's the younger of the fighters. So how much more fights do you got with Terrence Crawford at 38 years old? Probably going to be his last fight. One more year, 39, he's done. 40, he's all done. You got one more fight with Terrence Crawford. But at 35 years old with Canelo Alvarez, you got 3 or 4 more fights. The logical thing would have been to back up Saul and make him win that fight. That would have been the most logical thing. How many times did Terrence Crawford win all 4 belts and stand up the division? He won all those 4 belts at 47 and held all those belts for a year that the IBF had to strip him and give it to Jerron Boots Ennis, because as long as those belts sit on the shelf, the organization make no money. How are the belts making money if Terrence Crawford has not defended them in a year? They've just been sitting collecting dust. What do you think he's doing for 168 pounds? He just fucked up the whole division. Once again, the division's on hostage status for those belts. No 168 pounders getting a title fight. Because now Terrence Crawford got all the belts. He's about to go on a vacation for a year. So that's one more year out of all the lives, out of every fighter at 168. And no money for your belts that are sitting on the shelf that have not got defended, that you're not paying sanctioning fees because you haven't represented them in a ring. you did not want Terrence Crawford to win this fight. It doesn't make dollars and cents at all. If you were cheating in this fight and you had both fighters, it's fucking a no-brainer you would want Saul to win. He's been the cash cows for years. He's still the cash cow because Saul Canelo Alvarez filled that ring, the majority of it. He had a good dancing partner in Bud, and they showed out for them. So together they made a good night. But make no mistake, that was Saul's star status too. So how the fuck you gonna sit here and convince me that Turkey was siding with Terrence? What? The guy that's gonna bring you the less money? That might not even defend the belts, that might just walk away from boxing, that's the older fighter? Bro, you guys don't sound, you guys sound crazy. That's not even business. You're going to shit on your cash cow for this guy? That he might not be an employee next year. He might retire from the sport. Fuck out of here, bro. That don't even make business sense. And then you're going to say, oh, they did it for the rematch. That's not true. Did you hear Saul Canelo Alvarez say rematch? Did you hear Terrence Crawford say rematch? No. They look lost. Terrence Crawford looked like he just hit the lottery. He didn't know what the fuck to say. Then, Terrence, what are you going to do? I don't know. I'm going to talk it out with my team. That's all he kept saying. If the plan was rematch right away, Terrence would have, yup, rematch, yup, but this time I get 150 million. Yup. No. Terrence, he was in awe. They fucking did it. They didn't rob me. Oh shit! Wait a minute! I just did this shit. Terrence, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna talk it out with my team. Yeah, talk it out with my team. Terrence, who are you gonna fight next? Talk it out with my team. Terrence, would you talk it out with my team? That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. You know, they didn't think this far. It looked like his team didn't think this all the way through. Like, what if we do pull this shit off? You know, they just thought about the 50 million. Yo, Terrence, you sold that baby, but they told you you have a chance to win. He went out there and pulled this shit off. So Saul couldn't give you an answer. He said, Viva Mexico, and, you know, life goes on from here, and I'll just keep fighting. Yeah, that's what happened. Shit, they were asking Terrence Crawford if he would go down to 160. So tell me that this was all in the works, and that the rematch was when they don't know what the fuck they're gonna do. If that was the plan, that rematch would have been announced a long time ago. Check rematch. You see it? Blah, blah, blah. Yep. These two men look like, and history shows you every time Saul Canelo Alvarez loses to a guy, he never rematches him. Saul Canelo Alvarez's boxing history tells you he's never rematched anyone he's lost to. So what makes you think in a good world that spells rematch and that Saul's down for it? Saul didn't even say it. Just think about it. The logical thing would have been to Saul victory. That was your best outcome. The younger guy still got all the belts. I got Hamza Shari in the wing. We can pull out of a bigger night. Rather than convincing Terrence to try to run this back again for everything you just put yourself through. Terrence saw how hard this worked and how long it took him. And he's like, damn, you know, I did it. I don't know if he's willing to do it again. And he wasn't willing to answer that question right away because he knew what he went through. So how is it you're going to sit here and convince me that Terrence is Turkey's guy? Bullshit. That's just a cop-out to just, you don't want to admit your guy lost. Canelo lost the fight straight up, fair and square. Terrence was just better than him. He was just better than him. and a smaller guy jumped up 3 divisions and took all 4 of your belts and proved that you're not him. That's what happened. And now the Mexican greats are all like the Julio Cesar Chavez's of the world, all them guys, the top like Mexican dudes, they're all pointing their finger, going, look, look. And you're saying he's the best? Nah, he's the most protected. That he avoided this type of style his whole career. And every time he got bold enough to cross the line and try to fight this same style, a boxer, a pure boxer style, he lost. Floyd, Demetrius Bivol, and now Terrence. And now that's going to be a stigma that's going to be attached to Saul Canelo Alvarez, but that's going to be amongst his Mexicans. They got to figure that out. I'm not Mexican. I don't vote on that. That's not my fighter. You know what I'm saying? But the Mexican legends, bro. There's a lot of people that still the Margaritos, like, yo, there's so Barreros. Oh my God, man. There's just so many good Mexican champions that, and I've heard Barrera and them talk about Saul. They don't see that he even has a legacy. They don't even acknowledge what he's done. He needed to beat Terrence. And that's a different conversation I'm not qualified to have. I think that their people is going to have to figure that out like we do, like the Puerto Ricans, respectfully. Miguel Cotto, he's our best champion. I like Felix Trinidad and everything, but Miguel Cotto got the most weight divisions. And if that's how you held, more weight, that's a status that this guy couldn't do. And Felix Trinidad has way more title defenses, though. Yeah, he does. In a row, too. He's got like 19 or some Yo, it's crazy. Title fights are like in a row. Tito Felix Trinidad, yo, in his glory, when he had the mustache, when he had like the porn stats, that Tito, he was a monster, bro. That check hook was popping off like nobody's business. Snap! He was twisting jaws backwards. Yeah, that little skinny ass Puerto Rican dude, bro. Yo, he had that little ting bounce step. Yo, Tito Felix Trinidad, yo, he was the dude. He was the man. But I think Miguel Cotto's respectfully, and we figure that shit out with our guys. That's who we talk about. We got Wilfredo Benitez, Wilfredo Gomez, shit like that. And we have a lot, Sixto, Cruz. There's just a lot. And we figure that out. So the Mexicans are gonna have to figure that out. Where does Saul Canelo Alvarez stand among their legends? And then the rest of the boxing world, we just speak on what we view as fighters too. But your history is your history. And this doesn't look good on the report card. And I told you to everybody out there that said this fight does not define Saul Canelo Alvarez and this fight does not define Terrence Crawford and that this won't affect their records. And I told you guys that's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's people trying to dress up the fight to say, Terrence, yeah, come on, don't worry. Everything's fine. There's no sharks in the water over here. Meanwhile, there's a shark right there, and they were setting them up. And Terrence Crawford came out on the other side with fucking a shark skin belt and some shark skin shoes and shit. Maybe a shark hat with a fin on it. Because he done turned that shark into a coat. All right. And he's been in shark infested waters before with Errol Spence Jr., and now Saul. And what Terrence did is so big, man. It is so fucking big, bro. That is big. But no, I don't think he's going to defend these belts. I don't think so. I really don't think so. Who's going to defend it against? Fighting Billy? What was going on? Like really, guys, I don't know. Let's be real. What? The U.S. stealing from Mexico again? Come on, let's not go there. Let's not go there like that, right? What were you saying? New fucking U.S. and there's promotion bullshit, blah blah blah. Stole shit from Mexicans and robberies and wow, you sound a little bit a little hurt here, right? Yeah, it sounds like it's a little bit more than boxing for you. But No, this is not no robbery, and I'm still on the side that this is one of the most even competitive fights I've actually felt really comfortable about. For a long time, I didn't think conspiracy theory in this fight at all. I thought, wow, equality. Yeah. One guy came in and bought everything. He bought the stage, the fighters, the lights, every fucking thing in the thing was his. The reason why the event was taking place was because of him. The name on the mat was his. It, how do you own two sides and then cheat? Why would you do that? And then if you're going to cheat, why would you go and let the guy that you would make less with win? Why wouldn't you keep the Mexican that you know you're going to make big money on the next fight with if he remains champion? So you're going to cheat and then cheat yourself to take the less money. By the way, you don't need money. You're not actually putting these events together because you want to make money, because you got all the money. You got more money than God, right? So you got all this money. It's not like you're broke and he needs to pay off a bookie. Turkey Adeshik could probably pay off by every bookie in freaking like a 10-mile radius of them, if you wanted to. And you couldn't put no bets unless it was with him type shit. He doesn't need money. He's the type of guy you don't understand men like that because they can't be bought. There's nothing you can bring to Turkey and go, here, take this. Please allow Terrence Crawford to win this fight. What the fuck are you? He's already given Terrence Crawford $50 million. He paid Terrence Crawford $50 million. And if you pay Terrence Crawford $50 million, and let's say Terrence Crawford had a gambling debt and he had to throw the fight, what are you going to pay Terrence Crawford $50 million on top of his $50 million? Come on, guys, really think these things through. That's why they pay these athletes so much money so that bookies can't get to them. What is a bookie going to tell Terrence Crawford? And then even if the bookie was to give him an extra 30 million, the bookie has 30 million people, $30 million being betted on his website alone. Because if that 30 million is divided between different websites, that bookie don't own all the websites. All the money don't go to one bookie. You see how that doesn't make sense? In order to get to these fighters, you would need who's betting $100 million on your website that you can get $100 million and pay out $100 million for him to take a dive? Who the fuck is just putting $200-300 million on a bet? That doesn't exist. So that's why these fighters get paid that kind of money. You can't bribe them. He's already getting $50 million. They pay you that money to be honest. If you owed anybody money, don't worry. After the fight, you'll be able to pay them. We're paying you to be yourself. I don't think you got in debt with anybody for $50 million. You should be dead. Right? Come on, let's not make up these fantasy like reasons. No, reality is much simpler. We're just so far up into this conspiracy lifestyle. Look, this is fake. No, this is set up that you can no longer see real shit. You will no longer be able to identify real shit. And that's how the world got you fucked up. Because 4 or 5 cops can beat up a guy. We can videotape it. They say, nope, that's not what you saw. Well, maybe that's not what I saw. Acquittal, everybody innocent, go home. And we saw that shit. So don't sit here and tell me that the world don't got you fucked up. That when every time you see some real shit, look, and I called it. Not that I want to bring this back up, but I was right. I know nothing about this gentleman that just got shot, got arrested, so on. I don't mean to keep bringing him up. But I did tell you guys on my show Let me take a shot at this. I bet you there's going to be somebody that shows it frame by frame, slow, and say, this guy did this. Look, they're saying his T-tail was doing signals of when to shoot. You guys seen that shit? I told you somebody was going to do that. Nothing real could ever happen anymore in life. It's just official. No crazed person, a radical, can get up and just take it upon himself, boop, boop, do this, right? The radicals themselves, there was this kid that did something in a library. This young man made a video apologizing before he did the act. He didn't even know where he was going. Had it not been for that video, that would be stage 2. He had to explain everything. Yo, this world is going crazy. When real shit happens, there's always those people that are going to come out and say, they're killing us. This, who is they? Who is there? You guys do know how politics actually work, right? This is why I don't fuck with politics, right? They revealed it to us. They told us this, right? That there's only 2 sides. There's 2 huge bank companies, bankers. These bankers own all the stock in theirs, and they own majority of the stock in theirs. 2 entities that own the world means that the biggest gimmick and the biggest trick I've ever seen at my point in my young life at the time, I was in my 20s, was an insurance company called somebody, a collection agency, because they picked up their bill. And until the world was notified, yo, you don't got to pay that back because now the insurance is paying him. Then you saw those TV shows, hey, we'll help you lower your credit card payment. Then until you get a job working for the company, do you realize, wait a minute, the name on the paycheck is the exact name of the people that you have to pay. Then you realize, wait a minute, the insurance companies and the collectors own both sides. You ever see that commercial? They say, we'll help you reduce your credit payment, your payments, and we'll get that big debt you got down from 10,000 to like 6,000. Well, call us. You're actually calling the people that are collecting it. They went out, build companies that help you legally sign into a contract that you'll make $28 a payment monthly. Unbeknownst to you, the entire system is owned, bad and good, the both sides. The side that's trying to help you and the side that's trying to collect from you are all owned by the same person. The minute I learned that lesson in life, it opened my eyes to what else is like this. And if you keep digging enough into politics, you're going to run into the same wall I ran into. This is all owned, both sides. Listen, all the movements, everything good ever that comes out. Let's say like they put a plague out or something, right? And this person learns how to combat it, and they're good, and these movements rise up in anger. We need to fight the government. We need to fight the people. Well, the government caused it to create the good people, because you need them, right? Then you're going to have people that's going to abuse the system. They made them too. You understand? No matter what outcome comes, good or bad, in any equation, business, health, relation, they own it. It's the same entity. It all goes back to those 2 that own each other, which means they control the game. So no matter if you have this teenager that rises up and on her own because of pain that was caused in her neighborhood through what's going on, she comes up by herself and starts a program. that's very successful and that takes off, they made her. She works for the entity that created the problem unbeknownst to them. Because without the pain and the hurt that they put in these communities, she would never exist. They don't need to tell her to work for them. They need her to be pure of heart. They need her to whatever she's making to be real. She doesn't know it, but she's just working for the same machine. And that's why I don't talk about politics. That's why I don't talk about religion. You are literally chasing your own tail. Because it was you keep searching for that alleged government that's doing all this to us, and the government is dysfunctional like a motherfucker. First of all, they don't even work with each other. They're constantly ripping each other off. And I don't even think it's these entities outside, like that a lot of the presidents make, a lot of the things that go on behind. That's what's fucking everything up. That's what it is right there. And then all those entities, like the CIA, all that shit, they all work for the same thing. You see, you got to understand that no matter what bad or good comes out of it, we all work for the same person. And you'll never know it. They don't need to tell you to rise up. You need to do that yourself. And if you do that, everything you do a pure of heart, you were meant to do that. They just made you. We can't leave the game, can we? Just think about it. None of us are living here for free. It's a bunch of land on a globe or flat, whatever you want to call it, but it's a bunch of land that people own that they're renting to us. Where is it in America that we're free? Right? Just think about it, right? If they actually came in, the military was like, you know what? We need your house. You guys got to move out of here. We're going to build a road right here. They can do whatever the hell they want. Can't they? Right? Okay. So you pay taxes to live on the land, right? And we pay to be here. Where is it a spot that you can just go out and build a log cabin? I'll wait. Somebody's going to say, yo, you're on my land, right? Eventually, it's all earned by these two fucking, it's, once I learned that lesson in life, I was like, what? I was like, wait a minute, I'm working for the same entity that they're running away from. And they're like, yeah, but you're not supposed to tell them that. You're supposed to tell them that we're helping them. And you got to get them to sign into a contract. And I was like, oh shit, that makes crazy. Like, would it be crazy if McDonald's and Burger King were owned by the same person? And Wendy's? And Chipotle? You know what I'm saying? Would it be so bad to know that everything that you saw that went against? What if the Red Sox and the Yankees were owned by the same? And all your rivalries that you thought were rivalries, they were actually, but you don't have to tell the rivalry that you own both of them. Don't do that. Don't reveal it. Just allow them to be who they are. But no matter the outcome, how the game is played, guess who wins? You. You own both sides. And if you own both sides, it doesn't matter what comes out of it. What plague, what gang, what drug, it doesn't matter. All the people that die and all the people that live and everything that's created good and everything that created bad, all of it, I win. Cause you know what I'm saying? And that's how, once I learned that about that shit, I was just like, man, fuck politics, bro. We're all screwed. Just might as well just live life and do the best we can, man. Work and raise your family and concentrate on you and yours. That's about it. Because when you think about this shit, it gets crazy. And I start losing sleep. Right? It's fucking ridiculous. But life showed me these things. Life playing Monopoly and shit, like power and shit. You learned that as a kid. You get all the Monopoly pieces and shit, and the girl can't pay rent. Might have to show me a boob. You know what I'm saying? Yo, and that's with paper money. Imagine what real money does to you. Like it changes you and shit. And like so, guys, like, but that's politics aside, man. So I don't talk about politics. I don't like discussing it. I don't engage in it. Doesn't mean I really don't know nothing about it. I have. I was that person that was real boisterous at one time. Like, yeah, we should do this and do this. And I'm just like, oh shit, wait a minute. Uh-uh. We're not going anywhere. We're just doing whatever they put out. Whatever trends they put out, they proved it to us. If they wanted to have us all in mask and lock everything down, they could. If they wanted to punish us, they could. If they wanted us all to be in skinny jeans, they will. If they want us to walk around with purses, people gonna start walking around with purses. It's just the way shit is, bro. You see it. So hey, it is what it is. But I got my son coming by right now. He should be on his way. Look, guys, I hope you guys had a great time. You know, but we can't talk about politics here because that's just a dead conversation. And it's just a sad one too, man. Every time I talk about politics, I just want to it doesn't make me feel any better. It never does. Never. Never. So, but anyway, I like talking about boxing. We saw some great boxing. Terrence Crawford, shout out to you. Naoya Inoue, shout out to you. Uh, and who's next? You know, are you guys going to be happy with this Jake Paul, Tank Davis situation? I mean, Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson faced off, but another time in boxing where I'm a little skeptical. I've seen this with Tio time and time again. I've seen him say he was going to fight and go in negotiation with Superior Matias. I seen Teofimo Lopez call out Brian Norman Jr. I seen Teofimo Lopez call out Jerron Boots Ennis. I seen Teofimo Lopez, attach his name to a lot of fighters that never took place. So when it comes to Teofimo Lopez, okay, and what they're saying and announcing, just because they put them two together to face off doesn't mean that, because right now it's ironic. It's ironic that Shakur Stevenson told Turkey he's taking a year off because of his hand, and Tio has no fight schedule with no real boxing promotional company in ESPN that doesn't have a streaming platform yet. All of a sudden, both fighters are agreeing to fight each other when it seems like both are on the shelf. How ironic to keep both fighters' names irrelevant in the sport. How many times have I seen that? How many times do I have to see that to wake up? You know what I'm saying? Because Turkey had offered Shakur a fight, and Turkey told him, no Mickey Mouse, Tom and Jerry fight. If you want to fight, tune-up fight, you fight that somewhere else. But you want the big fight, you come with me. And Shakur said he needed a year, but all of a sudden, he's face-to-face with Tio, that Tio don't got one fight neither, and he had to make it up, back kiss Turkey up. I'm sorry, right? And getting in Turkey's good graces. So I've seen this before. Yo, Edwin's here, babe. Edwin's here. Yeah, all right, guys, I gotta go. My son's here. What happened? Oh, yeah, yeah. All right, fight fans, listen, I'm on to the next one after this one here at Round One Sports Talk. You guys have been amazing. Don't forget to hit that like. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I invite you to subscribe, become a Round One Sports Talk member, and I will be back on the next one. Peace.